You think you want an IQ of 150. You think it will be like unlocking cheat codes for life, acing tests without studying, solving problems everyone else finds impossible, finally understanding what people mean when they say they get jazz. But here's what nobody tells you about being that smart. It doesn't make you a superhero. It makes you the loneliest person in every room you enter, cursed to watch everyone around you move through life at half speed while your brain sprints laps around conversations that died 30 seconds ago. The genius fantasy. The genius fantasy goes like this. You walk into any room and you're the smartest person there. Every problem bends to your will like it's apologizing for existing. Job interviews become formalities, debates, and when you enter them, you're basically playing life on easy mode while everyone else is stuck on the tutorial level. Society sells this dream hard. We worship the Einsteins and the Hawkings, the tech billionaires who dropped out of Harvard because Harvard wasn't smart enough for them. We've built entire mythologies around raw intellectual horsepower, like your brain's just a bigger engine and more IQ points equal more life wins. The appeal is intoxicating. Imagine never struggling with math again, never feeling confused in meetings, never having to fake laugh at jokes you don't find funny because you actually get the sophisticated humor everyone else misses. You'd be the person who sees patterns in chaos, who connects dots nobody else knew existed, who solves the problem while everyone's still trying to pronounce it. Plus, and let's be honest here, there's the superiority thing. The quiet satisfaction of being right when everyone else is catastrophically wrong. The validation of knowing you're operating on a different cognitive plane. It's not arrogance if it's measurable, right? The tests don't lie. 150 IQ means you're smarter than 99.6% of humanity. That's the fantasy anyway. Reality's about to slash that dream's tires with a rusty box cutter made of social isolation and crippling overthinking. When your brain runs too fast, conversations turn into waiting rooms. Your coworker starts explaining an idea and you already see the outcome, the flaws, and the solution before they finish the first sentence. But you can't interrupt, so you nod along while your brain quietly screams. Meetings become painful. You recognize the pattern early. You know where this is going. You already solved it. And then you sit there, watching everyone else slowly arrive at the conclusion you reached minutes ago. The same thing happens everywhere. Movies become predictable. Stories lose tension. Your friends' life decisions come with warning labels you can't ignore. So you adapt. You slow your speech. You pretend to think longer than you need to. You learn how to fake confusion just to avoid making others uncomfortable. Not because you want to, but because being right too quickly makes people feel small. And over time, that constant mental restraint becomes exhausting. It's not that your brain won't stop working, it's that it never gives you permission to rest. And this is where intelligence stops being useful and starts becoming a problem. The overthinking spiral. The overthinking spiral starts innocently enough. You're trying to pick a restaurant for dinner and suddenly you're running a full cost-benefit analysis that factors in drive time, parking availability, menu variety, historical wait times based on day of the week, and whether the lighting will trigger your friend's migraines. 45 minutes later, you still haven't picked a restaurant. You've created a spreadsheet nobody asked for. Analysis paralysis becomes your default setting. Simple decisions explode into decision trees with infinite branches. Should you take the job offer? Well, first, you need to calculate career trajectory implications, cost of living adjustments, commute time multiplied by years of potential employment, office politics probability matrices, and whether the health insurance covers that weird thing your knee does. You're still calculating when the offer expires. Sleep becomes a theoretical concept your body vaguely remembers. It's 3 a.m. and your brain's running unauthorized simulations. What if you had said something different in that meeting 5 years ago? Let's model all possible timeline variations. What's the statistical likelihood your relationship will last? Let's crunch demographic data and compatibility algorithms until the sun comes up looking like a disappointed parent. There is no off switch. Your brain doesn't have a shutdown sequence. It's got a run diagnostics on why you can't shut down sequence that loops forever like a screensaver made of anxiety. Normal people count sheep. You're calculating the economic viability of sheep farming and wondering if the shepherd's using optimal grazing rotation. By 4 a.m., you're Googling how to turn off brain like it's a malfunctioning appliance you can unplug and restart. Spoiler, you can't. If this feels uncomfortably familiar, you might want to subscribe. This channel is basically a support group for overthinking ideas. Love in translation. Love in translation means you're trying to feel emotions while your brain's busy deconstructing them into component parts like a mechanic dissecting an engine that just wants to run. Your partner says, "I love you," and you're analyzing vocal tone, measuring pupil dilation, cross-referencing body language against baseline data you've been unconsciously collecting for months. You're running authenticity algorithms while they're waiting for you to just say it back. By the time you respond, the moment's died of old age. You can't stop treating relationships like logic puzzles that need solving. Your partner's upset, and instead of just being there, you're building decision trees. Is it something you said? Calculate probability. Something you didn't say? Run regression analysis. Something completely unrelated? Factor in external variables. You've got 17 hypotheses before they finish crying. They don't want hypotheses, they want a hug. But you're 3 steps deep in root cause analysis. Intimacy becomes a spectator sport where you're watching yourself participate. You're kissing someone and simultaneously critiquing your technique, monitoring their responses, adjusting approach based on feedback loops. You've turned romance into a performance review where you're both the employee and the disappointed manager taking notes. The worst part? You can see the relationship failing in real time. You've identified the communication patterns, the compatibility gaps, the statistical likelihood of long-term success. You know it's ending 6 months before it ends, but you can't stop. You can only watch your brain's predictions come true like a weather forecast for heartbreak you're powerless to prevent. That's love when your IQ is high enough to ruin it. The golden cage. The golden cage looks like success from the outside. Good job, decent salary, the kind of LinkedIn profile that makes your parents stop asking you when you're gonna get a real career. But you're trapped behind bars made of unfulfilled potential and the growing realization that intelligence is a workplace liability nobody warned you about. You solve the problem that's been plaguing your department for months, you present the solution in a meeting, your manager nods, saying, interesting, and promotes the guy who just rephrased your idea using smaller words and better eye contact. Because here's the thing about workplace politics. Being right doesn't matter as much as being likable. And you're not likable. You're the person who accidentally makes everyone feel stupid just by existing. You don't mean to, you're just answering questions accurately, but accuracy feels like aggression when you're consistently correcting people who outrank you. So you learn to hide. You dumb down presentations. You let bad ideas proceed because pointing out the flaws makes you not a team player. You watch inferior solutions get implemented while your better ones die in draft folders nobody will ever open. The promotion goes to someone who fits the culture better. Translation, someone who doesn't make the boss feel inadequate during lunch. You're stuck watching people with half your capability climb twice as high because they master the social game you didn't know you were supposed to be playing. Your intelligence isn't an advantage. It's a spotlight that makes everyone else uncomfortable enough to keep you exactly where you are. Welcome to the golden cage. The bars are invisible, but the ceiling's very real. The weight of knowing usually hits late at night when you realize that ignorance wasn't stupidity, it was protection. You see too much, patterns in people, outcomes before they happen, problems before anybody admits they exist, and once you see them, you can't unsee them. Studies link very high IQ with higher rates of anxiety, depression, and isolation, not because smart people are broken, but because awareness is heavy. The more you understand how the world works, the harder it becomes to enjoy it without questioning everything. You don't get surprise, you don't get mental rest, and you rarely get connection. You'd trade a few IQ points for one conversation where you don't feel out of sync, for one night of real sleep, for one moment where your brain isn't dissecting reality like a problem that needs solving, but there's no off switch. A higher IQ isn't a superpower, it's a lens you can't take off, one that shows you exactly how complicated, unfair, and fragile everything really is. And once you're smart enough to see that clearly, you're also smart enough to understand what it costs. That's all for today. Like, subscribe, and join us for more superpowers that would absolutely suck in real life. See you next time.